Okay, I see the 5. Okay.
Oh, there's a gun.
Uploaded, recording.
I am very sorry about that. Don't worry, guys. We just did a whole podcast, a pretend one, and I didn't even record it. And there was some really good stuff in there.
It's okay. It's a repeat.
It's a repeat. We'll do it again. Anyway, thank you guys for joining the podcast. Today we have a very special guest, my friend, Felicia Covington. She just released this book called Superseded the Odds. And I gotta tell you, it's an incredible read. I identified so much with it. When I started reading it, I couldn't put it down. And I pulled a lot of good stuff out of it. So much so, we've been talking about it for an hour and didn't even record it. You know? That's just how we do it. So I want to please help me welcome Felicia Covington. She is a certified peer support specialist, a proud grandmother of a 16-year-old fine young man, is what he sounds like. She's been employed for 6 years at the Adult Behavioral Health Center, and she's currently holding 2 alumni positions at Healing Transitions and Oxford House. One of the biggest things to me is that she is a survivor of domestic violence. And after hearing her story, I don't know how you make it out of that intact. So please welcome Felicia Covington. Thank you for coming to the podcast again.
Thank you again.
Yeah. Hope you don't mind going through that stuff again. All right. So I read the book and I didn't put it down at all. And I started marking it up for a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about. And every other page had something I wanted to talk about. So I stopped doing it. And what I figure we do, let's just get to know who Felicia Covington is, because she has an incredible story. And I know it already helped me, but I know once it gets out there, it's going to help a lot of people. So what is the book? Explain the book in your terms. Why did you write Superseded the Odds, and what is it about?
Superseded the Odds is about me going through so many obstacles in my life that I felt like I just could not do anymore. I struggle with addiction. I was also in a domestic violence relationship, and going through that and not having any hope, any directions, no support. I had no one. And basically, the book is about going through ups and downs of addiction and traumatic domestic violence. Sorry.
You're good.
Go away, go away, go away, go away. Okay. But it's basically about how I was brought up in a nice family, middle class family, with two brothers, well, an older sister, older brother, and an Irish twin brother. And I struggled a lot. They are not addicts. I'm the only addict in the family. And I went through a lot of obstacles and things in my life that I shouldn't even be here today. To be honest, I shouldn't even be here. But this book is basically telling you the things that I went through as far as recovery, the things that I experienced, the way how I got through things. It gives somebody some hope, some strength. I mean, you can do it. You can do it, and some encouragement. Because basically, I want this book to touch as many lives as possible. Because with this, there is hope. If you just
Absolutely.
surrender and give yourself to what higher power you want to give yourself to. I'll choose to call mine God, Jesus Christ. But I made it through. And so I just want everybody to know, I mean, this, it took a lot, and it took a lot for me to do this, because also it brought up some old wounds. So it also helped me to re-heal again.
Yeah.
Re-heal again.
I know when I was reading it the person that you describe as yourself, you're talking from the first person perspective. It just didn't sound like you. I've known you for a little bit, and nothing about the person you're describing I would characterize as you. You know, I know a loving, warm, friendly, super helpful person. So the person in this, this piece of shit in the book is it's something else.
She was something.
Yeah.
She was woo.
Yeah, but you grew up in a middle class, nice family. You said, right? So how do you think you ended up being addicted to anything?
Well, growing up, I was looking for love in all the wrong places, and also I was a struggling single parent raising a child on my own, and it was hard, during that time in the 80s, single mother raising a child, can't get any type of help from the father. My family, they could help with so much, but, it wasn't their responsibility. So I knew a friend, she knew of somebody that was selling drugs. So I got with them and I started selling. That's how I got into the drug game because growing up, I never been around drugs. I never been around, that type of environment because the environment that I was raised in, my grandmother was a 7-day Adventist. So that was like church on Sundays, you prayed, you do everything. So I never knew anything about drugs. I never knew anything about drugs. And the alcohol was different because my family was alcoholics. So I knew about alcohol and I knew about that part. But the addiction part, though, I didn't know anything about
That
drugs.
just goes to show, like it doesn't discriminate. I also came from, I would consider a good family. They don't drink. They never did drugs, and all me and both of my brothers were all addicts. I don't. It's a weird situation. Um, but that being said, so you kind of stumbled into it, and you got into drugs later in life,
Yeah,
right? You were like 26 years old.
26 years old when I got introduced to drugs.
Yeah,
Crack cocaine. I was 26.
and you were hooked immediately, right?
Took off to the races.
Yeah.
Took off to the races with it because I was in love with this person. And plus, what had happened was the person that I was in love with, he was using, but I did not know. I didn't know. And I was selling at the time, and he stole my stash. And that's how I found out he was using because I
Right.
walked in on him, and he was like, "You want to try it?" And I'm in love, and you love me, I love you. So I'm like, okay, yeah,
We do some weird things when we're in love, us human beings, right?
yeah,
We get into stuff that we normally wouldn't.
right.
So you've pretty much had God since when you were being brought up. So God's always been in your life.
Always.
How important has that been in your recovery?
Oh man, it's like wow. It's like I have my connection back. I mean, because I was spiritually bankrupt with my addiction. I know a lot of people say, "Well, I lost my kids, I lost my husband, I lost this." All this like I feel like materialistic stuff.
Mm,
But my major thing was I lost my connection with God. I was spiritually bankrupt, and I lost that connection. I lost that connection because I know when I was getting high, I know this is going to sound kind of crazy, but when I would get high, I would grab the Bible and start reading the Bible. And people like, you need to stop playing with God like that. Nope. Because I knew deep in my heart that that was not me. It was not me. I wasn't raised this way. I knew it wasn't me. I mean, I needed some help, but I didn't know who to turn to but God.
right.
That was the only one that could guide me to where I needed to be. Yeah.
I didn't know God exists. I was an atheist. You just said something that reminded me of myself again. I I have been journaling forever, since I was a young kid,
Mm-hmm.
and it reminds me, like, the way you just talked about the Bible is kind of how I felt when I read through my journals of all the years and I'm doing bad things. There's always guilt and there's always shame. And I remember when I quit doing meth, I had this journal, and every day I would write in it, and it had a bunch of dividers, like cardboard dividers, and on like the almost to the last one, I put, by the time I reach this page, I will have quit smoking meth. And it came true. I didn't figure it out till like 10 years later, but I was looking through like, interesting. And I'm like, that is cool. But that was a thing that I consider God now, that it was, I know I'm not this person that I'm doing. I'm not the person that does these bad things. I'm really not inside. Like, I really want to do good. I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't at the time, Addiction is a struggle. So how was your relationship with your daughter while you were using? That's
My
got to be hard.
daughter, she was my daughter relationship. It was okay, but I would always make sure my daughter went to school. Always make sure she had clean clothes. Never, not once, were we homeless outside or anything to that effect. And I hid it pretty well. I hid it pretty daggone well. To my family, to my daughter. But as she got older, she caught on. She caught on because she knew I would mess up, as she said, when she would smell pine sol and bleach. She knew I messed up because I would bleach the house. I would pine sol. I would burn pine sol on the stove so the smell of the scent would not be in the house, because I'm like, she's not going to smell it. She never seen me do it, but she knew what I was doing when she would smell those smells. She like,
Yeah.
okay, I messed up again. But her and I had that conversation, and we talked about it. And she told me, because at the time my daughter, she got older in her teenage. She was what I call my little runaway child. She would run away from home
Yeah.
and hang out with the older crowd. She would run away from home, and I would like get the police to get her, bring her back home. She ran back away, and she never told me why she would run away until she got older. And I asked her, during my recovery, why she would run away. And she was like, the only reason why I ran away, Mama, she said, because I didn't want to keep seeing you hurt yourself.
Oh God,
She said, I didn't want to keep seeing you hurt yourself. She said, so I ran away. She said, but when I ran away, I didn't stay long. I said, no. But the thing is, you ran away, and why she ran away. And
yeah,
she said she wouldn't run away. She would go spend the night over her friend's house. She would go stay over her friend's house,
yeah.
until she thought that I was sober.
So it's her way of kind of rebelling against what you were doing, but you didn't even know that she knew.
Right. I didn't even know. But I just seen it as her acting out,
Right.
because she wanted her father around. And I felt like that was her way of acting out.
Yeah.
So,
Did she never meet her father?
yeah, she stayed with her father. Her father was the father who, like, if I want to be daddy this week, I'll be daddy. If I
Okay.
don't want to be, and also he was a recovering addict. Also, he was a
Was he the
heroin
bank
addict.
robber?
No, that was her
Okay.
husband.
Oh. My bad. My bad.
It's okay. But her father also was an addict, a heroin addict. Because
Mm,
when I was pregnant with my daughter, I didn't even know he was using heroin. I didn't even know. I didn't know what heroin was. I
yeah.
didn't know until she was like a year old and she started walking. And he was keeping her. He was babysitting her. And I was at work, and I had came home, and she had it in her hand. She had a needle in her hand, but it had a cap on it.
Ugh.
I cold flipped.
I don't
I
like
just
that.
went berserk
Yeah.
because I didn't know what drugs were. And I was like 22, no, 23 when I had her. And
Hmm.
she was like a couple, about a year and a half old, just walking around. And that happened. And oh my God, I just went crazy. And
Yeah.
that's the last time I seen her dad.
I was gonna say, did you leave him after that?
No, he left.
Okay.
He
Either
left.
way,
I put him out.
that's a good deal.
I got rid of him. But
Yeah.
he was recovering addict also, but he went back and last year he passed away due to his
Oh,
addiction.
really?
Yeah, he
That's
went back.
sad.
He went back to it. I mean, he had been clean. Well, we said we think he was, but my daughter knew he was dabbling,
Yeah.
but she wouldn't. She didn't tell me. She wouldn't tell me because I don't know. I guess she probably felt. I'm just assuming she probably felt that maybe I might do it or start dabbling. If I don't know, but I just know she didn't tell me. I guess she was protecting me. She's supposed to be my little protector.
Yeah.
So I think she was just protecting me and by like
Sounds like she is.
she most definitely is because it's
S-
always been me and her, and we've been through a lot,
Yeah.
her and I, and it's due to me. It's my fault. I mean, because the path that I chose,
Right.
and the people I chose to be around, and the unhealthy relationships. There's
Being able to admit that too is, at least in my case, was what helped me cross the line of, okay, now I can own the things that I've done to the people I love. Like I can own that, and now I can. It gave me a platform to grow from. You know what I mean?
right.
Like it was a good indicator. So you grew up. You were born in Durham. You were raised in Durham. You had, so far you've had one child and a couple of boyfriends. You're already doing drugs, right? So we're like in your 20s somewhere, I think. And I know the bank robber keeps jumping out at me. I don't know why. Tell me about the
My
bank robber.
husband, my
Yeah.
husband, he was a bank robber. Well, I met him, and he was in the Fed house,
Hmm.
and I didn't know, but when I met him, I met him downtown in the health department. Only
Okay.
because I took my daughter to get some depot shots, and I met him from a
Yeah.
friend who was his cousin, and we talked. And I found out I had his number for like 2 weeks, and then I finally called, and they told me, "Hello, this is the federal so and so house." I'm like, "Huh?" So I asked to speak to him. They put him on the phone, and I'm like, "What are you doing now?" They were like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, but I wanted to tell you, but I didn't know how to tell you." I'm like, "Okay, what?" I robbed a bank.
Oh.
Not a bank, a couple of banks. Okay.
Man.
And got away with it. That's the thing. He got
Yeah.
away with it.
That's
He spent
crazy.
money to buy his mama's house. He There go my daughter right there, see?
Yeah.
Hold on.
You good.
Baby, let me call you right back. I'm doing the podcast, okay? Bye. But he had enough money to pay his mom's house off, his sister's house off. He bought his girlfriend that he was with a car. So he got caught because the person who he robbed the bank with, his brother, got mad because they wouldn't give him no more money. They already gave him his share. So he
Yeah.
spent up all his money. And they wouldn't give him any more money. So he turned them in. So that's
That's
how we
how it
got caught.
always happens.
That's
But
how
they got away with a bank robber. I've never met someone that got away with a bank robbery. And
right.
if you do one and you're successful, why not do another, I guess?
I guess that's what he felt.
Yeah. So
He
he
felt
ended up going away or what?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he done like 14 years. No, back in the day, you rob a bank, you get 14 years.
Oh man.
So he got 14 years
Yeah.
plus 14 more years.
Was he good to you and your daughter?
He came into our life after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the
Okay.
fact, he didn't have no money. I'm like,
What's going on, man?
He got nothing.
Nothing. You ain't got nothing? Come on, man.
He got nothing. It no well.
Yeah.
But he came into my life and he was using. I didn't think he was using. He was a user too. So him and I were using, and I was selling and using. He stole my stash.
Ugh, I hate that.
He stole my stash. So had to get rid of him. But
Yeah.
I didn't have to get rid of him. His he would go to probation and oh my God, this man would use apple juice. He would use
Smart.
apple juice.
Real smart.
Okay. And they would never violate him. They knew what he was doing, but they never his probation officer always gave him a chance. They never violated him. Then one day were like, okay, time for us to violate you. And
Yeah.
he ran. So they had the marshals looking for him. That was crazy. That was wild.
Were you two using together?
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
Yes, we were. And he was the type of user that would get angry when he
Yeah.
used. He would get violent. And it was crazy. But he tried to get violent with me one time. This is after domestic violence. He tried to get violent with me one time. He pushed me. And we was in the kitchen. I'll never forget this. And I took my hand. I don't know how I did it because he's like 5'10" and I'm only 5'5". I took him by his shirt and just pushed him against the wall. And I lifted him up against the wall. And I had the butcher knife. But I told him, "Don't you ever touch me again."
Hmm.
And he was like, "You crazy, you crazy, you crazy." And I let him go. And I didn't really realize what I had done. I don't know. I think there was somebody that I don't know that came
Yeah.
out because I'm like, this man 5'9", 5'10", and I picked him up and slid him up on the wall, had him off the ground,
That's
and
crazy.
had the butcher knife ready to slit his throat. And I
Yeah.
told him, "Don't you ever hit me again." And I let him go, and he ran out. He was like, "You just as crazy, you crazy, yada yada yada."
Yeah.
After that, I ain't see him no more.
Man, I'm glad you made it through that one. I know, domestic violence is a heavy subject in the book. I hate to make you talk about it again, but
But it's okay.
you told me a story that was very it was hard to listen to, but I think it's important because it's a big part of the book and kind of what your mission is to help these people. So tell me what happened with the lead pipe incident? What started that?
Um, my ex-boyfriend, I had left him. I had moved away, and he found me. This man sat and planned the whole entire thing. Where I lived, it was like a cul-de-sac behind the apartment building. He sat there for a day. He was high. They said he had every drug in his system you could find. He sat there. I had called the police and told him, "Look," he knocked on the door. I'm like, "Look, he's out there." I had a restraining order. And they told me, "Where if you see him, cut the lights off."
What's that gonna do?
So I'm like, this man done threatened to blow up my house and this and that, Well, we'll send somebody out. Okay. So they hadn't gotten there. So he banging on the door. So I had got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stand my ground. I'm sick of this now. I opened up the door and I told him, I said, Barry gone. I don't feel like dealing with you. Leave me alone. And I did not know. This man had an iron pipe in his sleeve of his shirt. He took the iron pipe, slid it down, and cracked all of this. For his first hit was like this. They said they just cut my face like butter, like a knife with a butter, just cut me like butter.
Ugh.
And my first instinct was get your daughter, get Argent, get Argent. And the force of it when he hit me, it picked me up and it slammed me back, and I knocked out the glass part of the oven. And I rolled over and I was crawling. I said, I got to get to my daughter. I got to get to my daughter. She was in the living room on the couch, asleep. So she obviously heard the commotion because I wasn't making any noise or anything, but I think she heard the commotion and she got up. She was only 10, and I used to keep a golf club 9 iron right there in the living room, right by the door. She grabbed it, hit him. He was over me, just hit me over the head with the iron pipe, just hit me. She went up behind him and hit him from behind with the golf club. He turns around and hits her on the hand so she can drop the golf club. And he said, I'll kill you, bitch, like I killed your mom. And before he turned around and hit me again, he had raised up and I could see like the corner of my eye. And he just got up and he just walked out. And my daughter was cussing. Something said, just play dead. Just play dead. Just act like you're dead.
Yeah.
And he walked out, and my daughter was in the doorway cussing, and I said, "Close the door, close the door." So she closed the door. I said, "Lock it, lock it, lock it." And I got up, I jumped up. First thing I did, I grabbed the phone and called my mom. I didn't know my eye was hanging out. I didn't even know it because all this was numb, my whole head. And I called my mom and my daughter. I seen her. She was trying to get. She had a towel, a white towel. It was putting ice in the towel, and I told her, I said, "Baby, ice ain't gonna help this."
Mm-mm.
And I'm so used to like when he
Ugh.
would beat me or abuse me, I would go to the bathroom to see what kind of damage he done, so I could try to fix it, you know. And I called my mom. Was like, "Call the police," and I called the police. And I stayed. I kept going in and out of conscious, and I stayed away until two officers. They came. They were females. They stood outside the door because it was so bloody in that kitchen. It was like somebody had. I got pictures where like somebody just took a bucket of blood and just threw it everywhere. But they stood on the outside, and EMS came. They tried to. They didn't try to give me no type of first aid or nothing. They
Really?
stood on really. They stood
What?
on the outside of the foyer, outside the door. They didn't even come inside. They stood outside. The EMS came. They came in, picked me up, put me on the stretcher. I'm screaming, "Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?" My mom was like, "She's right here. She's right here." And I'm like, "I need Arjun. I need Arjun." And they let her ride in the ambulance with me. I got there. I heard people clicking, yelling, screaming. We need this story. We need this story. And I'm like, what in the world? Because in my mind, I'm not here, but I'm here.
Right.
And I seen a bunch of flashes and stuff going in and out of conscious. And I heard a lady say, "Get back, get up." She was just cussing them out. And I thought it was my mom. 'Cause my mom, she was treacherous. Oh, she
Yeah.
was treacherous. And it was the nurse trying to keep Channel 11 back it out of the ER.
Oh.
So I'm back there laying on the gurney, and I heard, I look up. I was coming back conscious, and I seen a little guy. He was just standing there shaking. He had the scissors, and he was just shaking. Then I heard a lady say, "Why you cut her clothes up like that? Why you cut her clothes up like that?" She got on the belt. I had on the belt.
Hmm.
He had cut my pants legs, and I had on the hoodie. He had cut my hoodie all up, my pants all up, but I had on the belt. And I guess what he seen was so traumatizing to him. The poor child was shaking. Because they said my face was like smooshed in like you would take an egg and put it in your hand and just crush it. That's how my face looked.
Well, you just described a murder scene, you
Yeah.
know?
They got him with intent to kill.
That that is crazy. All of that. That's some severe, severe trauma.
Hmm.
I can't I don't know if I could survive that, you
I
know?
stayed in a coma for 7 days, and they told, I mean, you can hear everything when you're in a coma. You can hear
Yeah.
everything.
Huh.
And I heard the doctors tell my mom if she comes out of this, she's gonna be a vegetable. And to my mind, I'm saying, my mom's not gonna take care of me. She's not gonna wipe my butt. No, that's just not
Yeah.
gonna happen. But I came out in with my Irish twin brother. He was there the whole time. He was up there in the bed because when I woke up, he was there, and I looked at him, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" Those were my first words. What are you
What are you
doing
doing?
here? And he was like, he said, I told my mama I'm not leaving till my baby sister leave. And Shelby, he was there. He was there.
Has your brothers and sisters all played a part in your recovery, not just from the domestic violence, but
Yes. My
addiction?
oldest sister, she's a pastor, Pastor Darlene Covington Brown, and my brother-in-law, Grant Brown, and Wayne and Shelby. Yeah. Because when I silver chip, my sister, she was there. Her and my brother-in-law, my mom and my daughter, my grandson, and
Oh,
they
I
were
love that.
there.
Yeah,
So that was a real joyous moment for me, for them to see I
yeah,
did it.
did it. That's
And then
great.
my daughter, she wanted me. It's like, okay, mom, you've been there for 6 months. It's time for you to come home. I'm like, no, baby. Uh-uh. It's not. No. She's like, I know you're not going to use anymore. I'm like, nope. I got to stay here.
That's hard to tell your kid. Like, I know me. You're not old enough to possibly understand this, but
Right.
I have figured out that I can't do this right now.
Right.
It takes a lot of strength to be able to admit something like that about yourself, I believe. You know? How long after that domestic incident, the lead pipe incident, before you ended up getting treatment?
Um, it was it was right after the incident that I went and got treatment. It was like I mean I went to treatment again, and it I just wasn't ready. And then the last time that I went, before I went to the treatment center where I was at, where I ended up at HT, it was in Durham, and they told me that they didn't take people who, well, put it like this, nobody that was on crack cocaine needed to be detoxed. And I mean, being an addict, I knew how to get into the treatment centers. I knew how to get in detox. Tell them you're homicidal. Tell them you're suicidal. They can't do nothing but take you.
Yeah.
They
Not the
said, nope,
case.
nope. They said you don't need to be detoxed off crack cocaine.
Yeah. Well, it turns out those places are also owned by a private owner. If I own a place, I make the rules, kind of thing, right?
And that's
So
exactly what this place is, privately owned.
yeah.
So I said, okay, that's all right. So I got in touch with Tony Sales, who was the outreach person for the Oxford House.
Hmm.
I got in touch with him, and he got in touch with someone at HT, which was Phyllis. And me being a Durham resident, I couldn't go to the HT because I wasn't a Wake County resident.
Hmm.
But I don't know how they finessed it, but they finessed it. And I was driving because I had got put out of the Oxford House because I relapsed. And I was driving from Durham, and it was raining. And I was like, help me. So y'all got to help me. Y'all got to do something. And I was driving around, and they was like, I was on the phone trying to drive. I had been up for 2 days in my addiction. And I was on the phone. They found the place, and they was like, okay, where you at? We'll come and get you. And I'm like, no, I'm coming to you. So I drove to them. I stayed on the phone with Phyllis, and got to the HT down here in Raleigh, because I never heard of the HT. I never heard of Healing Transition. I never knew this place existed.
Hmm.
Got there. She stayed on the phone with me, and I think about that second step. When I got to that second step, I just fell, and she grabbed me, and she like, baby, it's gonna be okay. And she helped me get up in there, up those steps, and into detox. And I sat there just like nodding, going in and out. And she was like, baby, come on, stay with me. Stay with me. You're going to be okay.
That was a very powerful moment for me to read in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Something, there's a lot of comfort in someone like wrapping their arms around you and be like, hey, it's going to be all right. You know,
Yeah.
even if they're lying, like you still need that
Right.
sometimes.
But
And
it was so heart feeling. I mean, I knew I
right,
was in the right place. And I knew what she was saying was genuine.
right.
And I felt like this big weight off my shoulders. Like, man, like I could exhale.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
for context, Healing Transitions is it's a homeless shelter, but it also has a treatment program that is wonderful. The whole area in Raleigh, Durham, everyone is aware of it. All of my friends, a lot of my friends came through the program, and it's crazy what they can, take a person of that affliction with that type of affliction and then spit out a lawyer and a doctor or an author
Hmm.
or a media person or whatever.
Yeah.
you know
They're
it's crazy.
amazing.
Yeah. So now you're in rehab. You kind of you're settling in. So what was it like when you walked into the shelter? What was your impression?
I was in another world. I was in another world. I was somewhere that an environment that I wasn't used to. I mean, I went from like a loving, caring home to the streets, and then to this. It was like, whoa! It was like walking into the twilight zone to me
Yeah.
because I never seen so many women in one place.
Yeah.
Never ever in my life because I was the type of person I didn't like being like around a lot of women. I was like hanging around with a tomboy, so I hung around a lot of guys, and that's why I picked up a lot of skills from guys. But they was like, some of them were like scary. Some of them were scary. I mean, they
hmm
were scary. And then some of them, when I came in, they greeted me, they welcomed me. But when I first walked in there, it's like one lady, she was at the door right in the entrance. She come in like looking me up and down. It's like she made this like cat call or something like, here come another one. Here come a new one.
yeah.
You know, and it just circulated, around that little area. And I'm like, I was scared to walk up in there. I'm like, okay. And then they gave me an assignment of my bunk. And I was like, I didn't know what to think. I was scared. But then again, I'm like, I can't show no fear. Can't show my fear. Can't do that. They'll think I'm weak. They'll try me.
But
I'm
you had
like,
already accepted the fact, I'm messed up. I'm here. What do I got to do? Right.
yeah, I was there. I was at that point. I'm like, because like I said earlier, I walked around for 2 months and I would not speak to anyone because I was mad with myself.
hmm
Because I was mad with myself because look where I'm at. Look what
Right.
has happened to get me here. Look what I have done to get me here. It was nobody's fault. It was my fault. It was my decision. So this is the consequences of my decisions, my actions. This is where my actions got me. No, I didn't want to be there. No, I didn't want to be who I was. I didn't wake up and say, "Oh, I want to be an addict one day." No, but with that said, I had no choice. I came there. I wanted to know what and how I could overcome this addiction, what the addiction really was, because there in the HT, I never in my life, never learned as much about my addiction than I did when I was there. That place opened up my eyes to a lot, a
I think
lot.
it's very powerful, like the way you took ownership. That's I think been one of the reasons to enable you to grow so much. Once you can take accountability for your actions, people say that all the time. They just say, I own that. Like, but really owning your bullshit is a totally different thing. It's a good place for me. That's where I started from. Like, all right, I'm not all these things that I think I'm not. I just, I had to really get honest with myself. I'm sure you did too. The program,
Yeah,
it'll do that to you if you're in it, you
yeah,
know?
it will. It
Yeah.
showed me some things about myself that I didn't realize I was. Like I was one of my character defects were defensive. I was very defensive,
hmm
very defensive. And my attitude, I already knew I had an attitude, bro. I already knew this. Knew this.
Yeah.
They helped me. I allowed them to help me with my attitude, to teach me coping skills, to show me this is what you can do before you get to ready to tear the world up and burn it down.
Right.
They taught me these things and I put them in my life. I use them every day. And it's so, feel like this. I was so willing to learn how to control it. I would done anything, Chris. I would do anything, anything. They tell me go out there, skip, hop, and jump in front of a truck. I would do it just as long
Yeah.
as I could get what I wanted. To learn what was going on with me. To learn how to see who I am,
Right.
see what I can do about me. Because I didn't know me. I didn't know who I was. I had been abused. I had been used. I didn't know who I was and what I wanted. I didn't know my self worth. That was gone. My self esteem was gone. I had shame, guilt, and all of that mess.
Yeah.
All that mess.
Clogs up our brains, right?
Yeah.
So you were
And
you were you were in there and you're going along with the program. One of the things that I love about you, Felicia, is that I can see, I can feel, and I can hear your passion in helping others. So where does that come from? I mean, in my experience as an alcoholic, I'm all about me, man. I just want to do what I want to do, you know. So I imagine there's a shift taking place somewhere in there. Like you saying, you're in there in the HT, you're learning, you're willing to learn, you're taking in knowledge, and at the end of this, how I know you, you love people and you want to help genuinely. When did that happen? When did your passion for helping other women and people start?
it started in the HT, and I think it started when I got later on in the program, when I started learning who I was, when I started seeing my character defects, knowing how I was, the way I was raised to be, knowing that I had a nurturing character and I was a loving person, a caring person. I always been loving and caring and always wanted to help. And that was gone due to my addiction because I had to be a certain person in order to survive in the life that I was living. But learning about myself all over again, that brought out the nurturing part that my grandmother instilled in me.
Right.
It brought it out. And this is who I am. This is who I really am. I can be that hard person when I need to be, but this is who I am.
This is the person I know.
This is the person I know. And I love this person. I don't
Yeah.
never want to see that chick no more. See,
I don't think anybody does, Felicia. I don't.
I don't even want to see her. I don't want to see her. You don't want to see her.
Right.
But this is who I am. I mean, I love helping people. I love to try to, help someone that want to help themselves.
Right.
I want to make a difference in somebody's life. I want to touch somebody's life. I want to show them and encourage them because what I do now at my job, I've been with for 6 years in adult behavioral health. A lot of those people need encouragement. A lot of those people's self esteem are low. A lot of those people are in addiction who have no hope, who don't know where to turn to, who have no resources and nothing. And then you have a lot of people that just want somebody to listen to them
Yeah.
and just hear them out. It's not always about, telling me what to do, how to do it. Sometimes they just want you to listen
Yeah.
and being that ear and just listening and throwing out suggestions every now or whatever or responding back. Don't just sit there and just let them go on and go on, but give them some type of response. And when you do, be heartfelt with it. And a lot of my people tell me they like, Miss Felicia, you so crazy. I love you. I'm like, I love you too.
Yeah.
I'm just as crazy as they're all of you. I'm in the bunch with you.
Right.
But I mean, I love what I do because I can help those people gain their independence
Right.
again, get out of addiction, and be the person they want to be or who they should be. And I love it that I can touch them and touch their life, get them new experiences, show them, look, hey, look what's on this side of the fence. You come over here, look what had happened. You
Right.
stay over there, look what's gonna happen. So which one you want? You know?
Yeah.
And I just keep it real with them. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I don't say, well, you should this and no. I let them make that decision. I give them choices. Look, this is how it is. You know, keep it real with them. And that's the thing I think they love about me because I'm real with them. I don't try to sugarcoat it. Anything, I mean, like I told them, I will go to the moon. You trying to help yourself, I will go to the moon for you
Right.
and bring it back. As long as I know you trying to do something and you trying to change your life, I will be there for you.
It's crazy how much easier it is to help someone that's helping
Yeah,
themselves. Like, you know,
yeah,
if it turns you off when nobody's doing it, they want your help, but they're not doing anything about it. It's like, I'm
right.
not going to help you. I can't help you. You're not even helping you, you know?
I'm doing more for you than you're doing for yourself.
Right. What do you think? What are some of the biggest lessons that you've taken from all of your struggles, from, dealing with addiction, dealing with the domestic violence? What are some of the lessons you came away with?
Some of the lessons that I came away with is trust your instincts
I like that.
and give yourself time to know a person.
Hmm.
Give yourself time to know a person, you know, because I was the type, I'm like, I jump in head first.
Yeah.
But give yourself a chance to know that person and know what you want, you know. Don't settle for less. I know everybody's not perfect. I'm not going to get checks off all the lists, but out of 100%, I want at least get like 85.
I'm passing
You know,
grade, right?
I'll go for 85.
Yes, ma'am.
But the rest, I can, we can compromise and work out. We can do that.
Yeah.
Um, Not to get myself involved also in people that say, "Oh, I occasionally drink."
Do you though?
Okay,
What's
all
that
right,
like? Yeah.
right. See, stay
Nice.
away from unhealthy relationships.
Yeah.
And
Big one.
I took away knowing my self worth. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
knowing my self worth.
You're an absolutely beautiful person, Felicia.
Well,
And I,
thank
I
you.
am very, I feel fortunate to have met you and like had these things happen. This is how God works in my life. Like these kinds of things, like I'm doing, and then people who are doing similar things, it just happens to come together. And I now I credit God with that. Um,
Yeah,
that's the only way I know. You know.
yeah.
So if you, what message would you give someone that is going through it right now? If you had to talk to someone and tell them something that was going through the struggle that you went through, what would you say?
What would I say? One, I would tell them it can get better. It's gonna get better. Then I would tell them, share with them my story or what I've been through, so they can see it is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I am that light, and I'm bringing that message to them, and help them to realize their self worth. Help them to realize they are someone. You know, they are a sister, mother, grandparent, whatever. You are a human being, and that you don't have to be treated that way. You don't have to go through what you go through. Let them know. I mean, there's resources. There's resources. Whatever, if I'm there, I'm going to help you through it. I'm going to help you through it. I mean, I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna be there with them because somebody was there for me. So I want to be that person that's there for them, knowing, you know, what they're feeling, how they feeling, what they experiencing. I already been there, and I know it won't be like I'm getting this out of John Hancock textbook.
Right.
I actually lived the experience.
You're the real deal. You're the real
I,
deal.
I didn't have to read it. Oh, this is what this diagram looks like. No,
Yeah.
no.
This isn't a story. This is what happened in your life, you know? And I found a lot of inspiration in your book and a lot of parallels that we both went through that I could identify with and tie to my own stuff. So it was a very it was a it had to be hard to write. I imagine those emotions that are in there is it's crazy.
Yeah, because as I was writing, because M&M Publishing Company, my publisher,
Hmm.
Country McCray, he was like, when he started reading, he was like, "Are you okay?"
Right.
Because he's also a recovering addict. He like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not okay." I cried, and he was like, "You can stop." He even told me, he like, "Stop, just take a break."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, I want to finish this." He was like, because he was getting emotional about it, and so therefore he was like, I know this is like, opening up an old wound, and I'm like, "No, because I can do this. I have to do this." So I mean, I cried. I set up nights with a flashlight
Yeah.
writing this story because that's how bad that I wanted to get this out. Because I mean, and him and his wife Carolyn, they was there the whole time. I mean, I would pick up the phone. I'd be like, "Yada yada yada," they explain it. "I don't want to do this," and they were like, "No, come on,
Yep.
just breathe. You can get through this." And they helped me out a lot. I mean, he really, like, "Come on, you can do this." I mean,
That's
he was
great.
that support system. He was that push system.
Yeah.
But they really got me through this. I mean, him and his wife,
What's his name
um,
again?
Country McCray,
Country McCray from M&M Publishers.
M&M Publishing.
M&M Publishing. I'm
Hmm.
going to be also doing a little work with them, and we're probably going to do the same thing with them. Start a whole thing for everyone trying to help somebody. It's easy to help someone trying to help other people too. So
You're very
I
confirmed.
yeah, that's also what I want to do. So anyway, I loved the book, and I screwed up this copy, so I'm gonna need another one. But
Okay.
there's highlighting marks everywhere in there. But
Oh, that's good. That's good.
everybody, I'm gonna put links in the description and the show notes for this. But please grab "Superseded the Odds" by Felicia Covington, published by M&M Publishing. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
and it's going to help a lot of people, and I'm super blessed that you agreed to do this, and I'm grateful that you're in my life as a friend now, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Of course,
Can I do one more shout out?
you can do anything you want.
Shout out the M&M publication, Country McCray, and Carl McCray.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mwah. Love you guys.
All right, y'all have a good night. Tune into the next one. My name is Chris McIntyre. Thanks for listening to the Almost Above Average podcast with Felicia Covington, our special guest. Go pick up a copy of Superseding the Odds, and tune in next time. Thank you very much, and God bless.
God bless.
Yay.
Yay! That was cool.